So, Dorian Haviliard is a VALG demon. I believe it. Fight me. Fight me. Hey guys, Ashley here. Today I have a super exciting video, if you know me. This is my Kingdom of Ash theories slash series recap. I'm doing this because it's not really a recap of sorts. It's more of a, here's me explaining why I think Dorian's a demon, but also like, ooh, look at these awesome moments that were awesome that I forgot about, slash were iconic, slash made me feel, made me cry. You understand? Okay, so if you're completely lost here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I am Sarah J. Maas trash in 2 days. Kingdom of Ash, the final and last book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, comes out this Tuesday, so I thought I would do a little recap, you know? This is my 3rd time reading the series. I was like, let me go. Theory that I'm saying. I believe that Dorian's father, since he was infested with the VALG demon while Dorian was conceived, my theory is that Dorian is a VALG, or half VALG at least, because when his mom became pregnant, it was by Dorian's father who was infested by demon. That's the running theory, is that if you are a human infested with a VALG and you mate with another human, will that offspring carry those VALG demon genes? I think so. I have facts. I have evidence. It's proof. Okay, let's just go. Let's go. Obviously, I'm going to be spoiling things for the whole series. If you haven't read this, you shouldn't be here, obviously. Okay, so bye. Enjoy this trash fest. Disclaimer, I'm not going to be discussing anything in Tower of Dawn because I have a pretty lengthy and thorough review of that on my channel already. So if you want to check that out and watch 30 minutes of bliss, link will be below. But anyway, let's just go in. I took a lot of notes. I'm ready, let's go. Okay, so first off we have Throne of Glass, where it all started. When they're first describing Dorian, you know, Sarah J. Maas never does anything that doesn't have an intention. Her books are known for having a lot of foreshadowing leading up to other books, and here's what they say. Here's what they say, friends. Sometimes Dorian forgot how little he looked like his father. You know, the basic shit. But it's just like, why are you focusing on this, Sarah? What do you mean he doesn't look like his father? And that's not the only time he's staring at a picture of his mother and his father in the hallway. It's like this huge portrait, that little stupid ass. Holland is also there, and he says something similar again. He also bore no resemblance. There's a matter of Dorian's eyes. Not even his mother had his sapphire eyes. No one knew where they came from. Listen, folks. Sarah does things intentionally. Why are you focusing on how much Dorian doesn't look like his biological parents? Is it perhaps because they're not your biological parents? And my theory has kind of morphed over time. So I originally thought Dorian's dad was a hoe, or his mom was, you know, he's a bastard basically. So my original theory, Dorian is a bastard. But the point is, they focus a lot on his appearance and how much he doesn't look like mama and dada. Just saying. Reading Throne of Glass for like the bajillionth time, it's so obvious where this series is going. Sarah puts so many clues. Like, she literally says in the first chapter when Selena is getting rescued from Endovir, she's talking about how Terrasen doesn't have powers anymore because the king took them away, and she's like, yes, the powers I once yielded. I don't remember where that exact quote is, but this girl literally says, the powers I once yielded. And me reading it ignorant the first time, I was just like, okay, yeah. It's so obvious, like frick. So another instance of where you kind of get this feeling that Dorian isn't the king's biological son is when he's having a conversation with his son, you know, and Dorian's starting to take an interest in Selena for the first time, and his dad approaches him with this very weird and interesting conversation. Let me read my thing. He's like, marry a proper woman, then dally as you will. When you are king, you will understand consequences. Bitch, what? What consequences? Are you saying you dally around because Dorian's not your son? Don't hoe around, kids, until you're married. Then you're allowed to? It's just a thing of note. This could be going nowhere. It's a thing of note. I've been reading this series with my friend, and every time I find a new Dorian theory, I'm just like, receipts, receipts, receipts. So that's basically all I have from Throne of Glass. Not that much, but like I said, I'm getting started. Ooh, it gets juicy in the next ones, guys. Please stay along for this video. I'm going somewhere, I promise. Okay, I forgot. This is Dorian's dad talking to Dorian. I think he's talking about Selena. Though she may look pleasant, she's still a witch. You are to keep your distance. He's telling him to keep his distance from a witch, which is foreshadowing Manon coming into his life, because Manon's a witch, and I'm like, hey, that is a ship I'm just really down for. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna get heated. Another thing in Throne of Glass, I just want like a nice little funny moment you may have forgotten is when Chaol rescues Celaena from the slave mines of Endovier, and he's trying to trick her. She's blindfolded and he's trying to trick her where they're going. So he starts like spinning her around. I'm like, fool, this is a trained assassin. You think you're gonna confuse her with your directions of where you're walking by just like spinning her around? Rereading the series, it's interesting to see how knowing who she ends up with, how your ships work in your mind. Every time I reread the series, I'm still so keen on Celaena. Anytime I read them, even to this day, even if they have a slight interaction, my heart just melts. Don't get me wrong, I love Rowan. He's like, you know, Rowan. Chaol is just like, okay, I'm already messed. Let's move on to Crown of Midnight, where things start to get juicy. Not really, I don't know why I said juicy. But more of my Celaena horror. I just forgot how emotional it is. Celaena throws him that dinner and he's crying. Our boy is sitting here crying. I know a lot of you people don't like Chaol. I still like him. I saw a post like earlier yesterday that was like, oh, Chaol, I relate Chaol to the equivalence of Tamlin. Bish, how dare you? No, 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 no. So I didn't find too much evidence of Dorian's VALG demonness in here, but I did find like major foreshadowing for like Rowan, and it's when they're at a dinner. Oh my god, my notes are so hilarious. I literally wrote, so I have the quote of the song I'm about to sing. It's a singer that sings at a dinner for a birthday party, but I literally wrote chapter 15, attending dinner for little shit that is Holland. Oh yeah, okay, hi. But yeah, the singer's singing and she speaks of a knight that comes in and sees the woman not for her power she wielded, but for the woman beneath of all the kings and emperors who had come courting her, aka Chaol, Dorian, blah. With promises of wealth, Dorian. It was the knight's gift of seeing her for who she was, not what she was. It's like the nice little foreshadowings that are like lying within these pages that have me reeling, you know? Alright, Assassin's Blade, again, not too much. In the very early novels, it's not really evident of this theory I'm trying to prove, just because the VALG demons haven't been introduced yet really into the series and how they play a part of that. Most of my evidence does come from Queen of Shadows and Heir of Fire, but it's fine, it's fine. Right now I'm just going over the nice moments. Also in Assassin's Blade, when she's watching the performance with Arobin in the theater, she says this, okay? A legend of a prince seeking to rescue his bride and the cunning bird he captured to help him do it. Is it more obvious Prince Rowan? Rowan was here from the start. You forget, before Throne of Glass was even published, she had written up to Queen of Shadows on that website that she had written on, Queen of Glass or something. So she knew all these things. So she's able to place in all these foreshadowing parts and it's just like, iconic. But yes, I don't remember what Celaena's doing here exactly, but she's like throwing punches as if she had something burning inside of her that she couldn't quite get out. How much more obvious can it be? Hi, fire, the Heir of Fire. Bitch. Also, in Assassin's Blade, when they talk about Arobin rescuing her, they say things like, he whispered her name, her true name. Aelin Ashrither Galathinian is her true name. Hello, obvious. Yeah, so we're moved on from that. Now we can move on to this, okay? This. So one of my notes here, when I was reading Heir of Fire, I forgot Sorsha was a spy, and when that moment came up where she had to die, I was like, oh my god, yeah. Personally, I never felt the connection between Dorian and Sorsha ever. It just was not existent in my mind, and I'm just, yeah. I literally wrote in my notes, I still hate Sorsha. Ho was a spy. There's my stance on that. The constant debate I feel like surrounding King of Ash is Aelin gonna die? This is the prophesized thing. She's prophesized to die. She has to sacrifice herself to forge the lock and the keys and wield all her power. She's gonna die. Even though Lyria wasn't Rowan's mate, really, it was Maeve tricking Rowan to think Lyria was his mate. He still experienced all those emotion and feelings of losing a mate, and that took a heavy toll on him. If Aelin dies, he's not gonna survive experiencing another mate dying. And this is his real mate. Lyria was not even his real mate. So that pain and death he felt, this boy will not handle if Aelin dies. No, she can't die. She can't. Boy will not be able to handle. I'm just... breathe. Oh my god. Okay, I just realized this was a big moment. A big quotable moment in Heir of Fire, okay? You know Sarah loves her foreshadowing, but this one was too much. When I listened to this, I was just like, shook, shook, shook. Let me just read you this and you can be shook too, okay? Keep in mind of where we left off in Empire Storms and what Kingdom of Ash is about. So this is when Rowan is asking her if she'll refuse a potential marriage alliance. An invisible hand seemed to wrap around her throat. She had not let herself consider that possibility because the weight of a crown and a throne were enough to make her feel like she was in a coffin. Like she was in a coffin. Just let that sink in. That coffin, she ends up in a coffin. Too much. Okay, another moment is when Manon is talking to the spiders with the spider silk. She's getting the spider silk for Abraxas, and the spider is talking, and he's not talking about Manon directly, but he's just like, perhaps I'll wing a king of my very own. The fact that he's saying this to Manon, was it a she or a he? I don't remember, but like a king of his own. Also Manon, a king of your own. Dorian, perhaps. Hi. This is when Kale's learning about the towers and the word keys and the word gate, all that jazz, and he just says, again, very subtle things. They don't mean anything to everybody, but to me, I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. He just said, I want to see where they are. The towers. The 3 towers, but Irene Towers, Tower of Dawn. Hi. Okay, so the rest of my notes are on my phone. I just stopped using this at a certain point because it became too much. And now I have all these random points on my phone. Moving on to Queen of Shadows. I haven't talked about the theory that much, but hold on. We are gonna get there. Queen of Shadows, hi. But first, let's talk about when Kale and Aelin reunite, and oh my god, it's so heartbreaking. Her heart was healed and he was not in it. Oh, it's just, ooh. Ooh, burn. She's talking with him and he's like, we can do this. And he's like, there is no we. And he chucks the eye of Elena off. He just chucks it at her. And I'm just like, boy. It's so heartbreaking to see where they were in Crown of Midnight having nice little dinner. And now it's like, there is no we. And it's funny, the reason why Kale is afraid of Aelin initially and like why they can't work out is because he's scared and terrified her. He calls her a monster. He's afraid of what she is. He's afraid of the power of who she is. But it's like, boy, did you not know this coming in? You knew, you rescued her. You knew she was assassin. You tried to spin her around. You knew coming in that she was the world's deadliest assassin. So obviously she's killed a lot of people and yet you're scared of her being vicious with this fire. It's kind of equivalence. Like, are you stupid? Hello? And then he blames her for pissing off Maeve and being dramatic. And it's, boy, you don't know, you don't understand Maeve. You don't understand her. Okay, am I the only one who has a hard time picturing how Maeve looks? Is she old? Is she young? Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and jump to this theory and what I think. Like I said, I think if you are a human infested by the VALG and you mate with another human, does your thing help make that offspring a VALG? Dorian's father being a VALG, why impregnating his mom? Would those VALG traits carry on to Dorian? The answer is yes, because as you know, in Morath, all hell is brewing. Manon is there with a 13 and freaking stupid Duke Harrington and that stupid shit is happening. But he's trying to get Manon to get one of her covens to mate with the VALG, to create VALG baby demons, offsprings, witchlings, right? And they do that by sewing these weird stones into their bellies. But then when she's talking to the covens and trying to get a coven to volunteer, which she really doesn't want, she says something along the lines of, one of the covens even volunteered to physically mate with the VALG. Who's to say if this actually happens? We do see the VALG with like swollen bellies, but I don't know if that's from the stone or if they actually did choose to physically mate. The point is, if these witches offered to physically mate with the VALG, doesn't that mean it's possible? Because all these VALGs in Morath are humans that are infested by VALG demons, basically. If they offered that, that means it's possible. That means if you're a human, you're possessed by a VALG, you have sex with a witch, your offspring, the witchling, is going to be a VALG, because that's what they're doing in Morath, right? Like, why are they there in Morath? That's what they're doing. I'm just, receipts, people, receipts. I'm just saying. Also, that whole thing had me thinking. Another thing that is quoted, which I have the exact quote, which I can read. So Dorian's thinking about when he finds out at the end of Queen of Shadows that his dad the whole time has been this person that has been infested with this VALG. He says, a demon who had not only produced with his mother once, but twice. So if my theory ends up being true, you know what that means? That Holland is also some little messed up demon child. Because let's be honest, he's a demon child. He's messed up. Literally, he's literally a demon because, hello, if Dorian's a VALG, Holland has to also be a VALG. And I don't mean full-fledged demon, I just mean some traits. Because obviously, Manon is a witch, half fae, half VALG. She's not an evil demon. I mean, she's kind of cold on the outside, but you know what I mean? She carries those traits within her. My theory is just that Dorian also carries those traits. You know? You feel? You with me? Hi. So let's fast forward to when they're having the battle, okay? They're at the glass castle. Shit is going down. Aelin is with Dorian. She's trying to get the VALG out of him. Flashback a little bit to when Kael's about to go with them and Nezrin's talking to him. Nezrin's like, promise me you'll walk out of that castle. Walk out of that, Sarah. Such mockery when you're reading it for the third time. It's like, oh, because Tower of Dawn hadn't come out yet. He's not gonna walk out there because he's gonna lose his legs. It's anyway, so when Dorian is finally unleashed and he comes back to himself, it's just, that part was very confusing to me because it's not exactly clear why the VALG is no longer inside him. He releases his power and he fights it and the VALG is out of him all of a sudden, but it's pretty well known that the only way, they make a pretty good point to reiterate this throughout all of Queen of Shadows, that the only way to get a VALG out of a person is either to behead them, burn them, it's death, right? You gotta behead and burn, it's just death. Why is he the exception? We do have who with her power overtook the demon, so maybe it is just if you're a magic wielder you can fight the demon, but I feel like maybe not. I don't know. Is it perhaps since Dorian is half VALG, he has the ability to overtake the VALG somehow? Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying? Is it like perhaps being a half demon made it easier? Receipts. Receipts. So also in this moment when Dorian is finally released of the VALG, I imagine him putting his fist in the air. I don't know if that's really what happens, and he releases this battle cry, and the way Aelin describes it is like the battle cry of a god screaming. I don't know, why do they keep referring to Dorian as a god? Everything he does is a god, the power of a god. In Crown of Midnight, when they're down there, Kael describes like what he does with his power, like very godlike, and I'm like, a god and a VALG are not the same thing, but they're on the same hemisphere. You feel like, what if Dorian is a god? What if he's not human? What if he's a god descendant and he doesn't know it, like lost his... I'm just going everywhere, okay? There's just a lot of things that Sarah uses to describe Dorian. Why do you do this? What does this mean? Everything she writes is for a reason. Sarah never does something specifically for like the sake of doing it. Everything has a meaning behind it. Are you a VALG? Are you a god? What is the verdict here? I'm just saying. Quick also side notes when the whole Manon and Dorian dynamic, I know some people aren't a fan. I'm a fan. I'm trash. I had this realization reading it this third time too. When Manon goes back and the castle is destroyed and Aelin's huge ice wall is up, she perches on it. She's on Abraxos and she's looking at Dorian as he's like just standing at his window, and that's where you get the first hint of signs that they're gonna have a romance. But this is right after Asterin had told her the story where her grandmother marked her as unclean and she would go back and visit that cabin in the woods from years and years just to check up on that human that she loved. This is immediately after that story, and what does Manon do? Go to check up on Dorian, the prince, who she may grow to love. I'm just saying, the parallels, the connections. Okay, now we're moving on to Empire Storms. And I'm gonna be honest, it's like 9 in the morning right now. I stayed up until 5 in the morning reading this. I've only gotten 4 hours of sleep. I'm still very fresh on this whole event, and I didn't realize how emotional I was because unlike the rest of the series, this is only my second time reading Empire Storms. It's very heavy, and I have a feeling that's how Kingdom of Ash is gonna feel. They have 2 major battles in this, and that was just a lot. What is Kingdom of Ash gonna be? It's gonna be the battles of all battles? I really don't know. So first of all, when Manon saves Dorian, he's like, hello witchling, and she's like, hello princeling. I love it so freaking much. And she's like, why are you here? And she's like, it's none of your concern. It doesn't concern you. Girl's afraid to show the emotions. Let's admit it. You love the prince. How can you not love Dorian? He's just so precious. Also, I made note of this. I don't remember where it is, but Lysandra says something along the lines of a storm is coming. Empire of Storms, people. Okay, well, also when Aelin is visiting that temple in Terrasen, I believe, with Aedion and Rowan, and she encounters Brandon. He appears to her in that weird spiritual form thing they got going on. She literally asks him, is Maeve a VALG? I forgot why, the context of why she's asking this, and he's like, no, Brandon, you freaking liar. Like, do they really not know that Maeve was a VALG, or is this a lie? Is this supposed to trick us? I'm just saying, lies, lies, lies. Like, sand is grainy. It's just this texture. You're on the shore. You're just naked. First of all, when did they take off their clothes? Like, all of a sudden they're just naked. I'm like, okay. Sand goes places. That's not a cute time. Can we not just go in a room? Why do we have to do this on a beach? It gets really weirdly paranormal, and her fire's spewing and his ice or water is spewing and it creates glass. What is happening? Trying to picture this in my mind, I'm like, okay, you're on the beach, but flames, are you on fire? What does this look like? If you went there, is there a scorch mark of their asses crosses just in the sand. I feel like in Empire Storms, I didn't love them as much. Like, I love them, just their attitudes in Empire Storms are just like so sexually driven, which like, you know, I'm all about the smut, like obviously, but sometimes just overwhelming. I really forgot about the whole Dorian and Manon thing, like in the ship, like he literally comes into her room with his phantom hands and kisses her and was like, that's all you get. And then he comes back and she's like, let's finish what you started. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is the moment I asked for. It's like Dorian and Manon are literally using each other for each other's bodies, but this sex scene was way more satisfying than Aelin and Rowan's. And that's the tea. That's my PSA. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Ooh though, ooh, more. When they're on the deck and it's after Dorian had visited Manon's room and he's begging everyone to let her free. Let's make her free. And Aelin's like, did you come to that conclusion before, during, or after you visited her bedroom? Oh girl. Burn, yes. Dorian is such an arrogant ass when he's in front of Manon. I love it. Also, totally forgot Fenris, that whole situation that he wasn't himself and he was that creature. Just saying, that shook me. Alright, another receipt. We have another receipt. But this is when they're traveling through the marshes and I think Dorian uses his power in some shape or form and they're like, as if a god had hurled it across the marshes. Again, why? It's just Sarah's way of describing how people use their powers, very godlike manner. No, because whenever she talks about Rowan or Aelin using her powers, she never uses that comparison to it being godlike. She only says it to Dorian. So boy, receipts. Oh my god, I forgot. Okay, this is just a thing I noticed. So if you know, in this, when they have sex, Sarah uses some words to describe Dorian. What am I saying? Rowan's unmentionables. His dick. She uses words to describe his penis, and you know, it's talked about on the internet. I'm just gonna say it. Velvet wrap steel. We know how we feel about that. Okay, so yeah, that's what she uses when they're having sex, and she's like, I grabbed his something along those lines, right? I noticed in Heir of Fire, when they're in her apartment, she touches his shoulder at one point, or places her hand on his shoulder, and she grabbed his shoulder and it felt like velvet wrap steel. She uses that term. So I'm like, you saying Rowan's shoulder feels like his dick or his dick feels like his shoulder? Why are you calling his shoulder velvet wrapped? I'm just saying, like, that was an oopsie. It had to be. Just saying. There's that. So in Empire Storms, if you forgot, so we basically learned that the Eye of Elena is a symbol of the witches. Remember that, you know, Ansel comes, love Ansel. When you listen to the audiobook, she has a southern accent, which I really like. Aelin did not tell any of these people that she was gathering all these forces and they just show up and they're like really afraid. They're like, oh my god, this is an enemy. Where it's like, who is this? And Aelin just walks up to them and they're like, what are you doing? Ansel just walks up and she's like, hey bitch. Literally, she says, hey bitch. And I'm like, I love this. Even though she betrayed Selena in Assassin's Blade, I'm still like, hi. Okay, I have more receipts. I don't know why they're having these like deep, dark conversations. They haven't had sex yet. He's just on top of her and all of a sudden he decides to bring this into conversation in the bedroom. Okay, Dorian. So this goes back to when the Bloodhound, they encounter a Bloodhound and the Bloodhound tells Manon that Asterin is dead. 13's dead, which is a lie. They're not dead. Hi. Which also shook me because I forgot and I thought she was really dead and I started crying, and then when they show up at the end, I was like, oh, boom. He's like, the Bloodhound was lying that night. I felt it, tasted it. What does that mean? From my understanding, Dorian's not the truth seeker. He can't seek truth. That's not like a power. And maybe he just is speaking literally. He could feel it in his soul. Maybe he's trying to comfort her. I'm comforting you. You like me, right? Let's bang. Or since a Bloodhound. Are they VALG? I don't know. The Bloodhounds come from the same realm as the VALG. Dorian could literally taste it because he is a VALG. Do you understand what I'm saying? He has some weird connection. Receipts. I'm really reaching here. it's at a point where I want him to be a demon, but I obviously don't want him to be a demon. I want him to be a demon for the sake of all my evidence. And I love Manon. I love how human she is around Dorian. She's so vulnerable. I'd never let a man be on top of me like that. And then after that, she's all flustered and like runs her hands through her hairs, which is not a big deal. Like she's just doing this, right? But Manon is so cold when it comes to her emotions. Such a human gesture like that was just meaningful. She's getting emotions. I feel like a lot of people, they're kind of blurry on what happened in Empire Storm. So let me break it down to you real fast. Ooh, I'm actually doing a recap part. Blah. They find that mirror in the marshes. It has witch signs all over it. Dorian brings Manon and Aelin down to the bottom of the ship and he solves the riddle that they were told fire and iron had to merge and walk through. So Manon and Aelin, they walk through the mirror. Elena is with Aelin and Manon in that weird like mirror realm and she's showing her the path, what actually happened on the river that day. Aelin died that day. She literally stopped breathing and she was dead. Elena brought her back to life, and she was the one that awoke Arabin, knowing who he was and what he would probably do to her. Awoke him and basically hypnotized him in a weird state, brought him to Aelin and picked her up. It was just, everything was so prophesized and planned, everything was set into place, and I'm like, huh? And then Aelin's like, will you come with me so I'm not alone when she's about to die? I'm like, girl, she can't die. She can't die. Elena, the stupid hoe, hoed them all. She used the lock when it really was meant for Brandon. He was gonna sacrifice himself and close the VALG and the gods and lock them away forever, but Elena wasted it and she locked Erewhon in the tomb, basically putting that burden on her future generation in that line, aka Aelin, so she bears that burden, and only Mala's bloodline could lock the keys again and forge it. That she has to sacrifice her whole power and being and die. But the prophecy also goes down Dorian's bloodline because they share the same bloodline, but they chose Aelin because when Dorian was just beginning to learn his powers, he wasn't ready. But I'm just saying, Dorian, Aelin, one of them has to forge the keys. Maybe together. Maybe. Dorian will help forge the keys. He'll lose his powers. Aelin will help forge the keys. She'll lose her immortality. Rowan will also lose his immortality. And then they'll all live together and die together. That's the end of the series. Hi, happiness, but probably not. You know it's not going to be that way. Maybe his Valgness or his god, him being a god will help. If he's not a Valg demon and he's not just normal, he has to be a god. You know, his powers are godlike and he will forge that. Something has to happen with him. I'm really hoping Manon and Dorian are canon, but logically, how are Manon and Dorian gonna work? This girl is bitch witch. You're the king of Otterland. Can you not imagine Manon being on the throne? Because I can't. How is that gonna work out? Like either someone's gonna die, Dorian's gonna abandon his crown, but I can't see him abandoning his crown, or Dorian's gonna die because he's a god and just like disappear. Do I want these theories to be true? No, but that's where my mind is going and I just can't stop where it's going. I'm sorry. There's no way Sarah made the character Celaena Sardothien just to sacrifice her. I refuse to believe it. Also, another thing that's surrounding Empire Storms, I feel like a lot of people are confused on Aelin's mortality, and it's made very clear in Empire Storms. I don't know why I forgot this. When Maeve is torturing her with all these secrets, you know, she reveals that her and Rowan were mates, and Aelin knew they were mates as soon as they were on that temple and he had that arrow shot through him. Like, She also reveals that she would settle, which is when a Fae person settles, is when they settle into their youth. I think what it means, she's like, you would have settled in 5 years and you would have thousands of years with Rowan. You were immortal. So there's that answer. I'm pretty sure Aelin's immortal. She would have lived thousands of years if she survived. She will survive, what am I saying? I also forgot that before, when all this is going down, and I was like, why isn't Manon helping her? Why is she just standing there as Aelin gets dragged away by Maeve? And it's because Manon has the 2 word keys that Aelin put in her pocket, and I forgot it. And when the 13 showed up, I was like shook, and I was like, yes, they're here, they're here. And then Ansel comes, and then Galen comes, like he brought this whole force. And then freaking Ilias comes, the silent assassin, and he speaks. I don't remember him speaking. You remember our boy Ilias, right? Like him and Celaena had this like flirtatious thing going on. And I'm like, really? You people could not have showed up 30 minutes earlier and this all could have been destroyed? They had hundreds of ships and hundreds of people, hundreds of silent assassins, and you decide to show up after Aelin gets taken away in this coffin. Ooh man, I was just crying in tears. Watching her get whipped and knowing what getting whipped means to her coming from Endovier, it was like difficult. I was crying, and the narrator for the audiobook is so good. If you ever want to reread Throne of Glass audiobook, I recommend Elizabeth Evans. Great job. She needs an Oscar for audiobooks. Alright, and then they're all on the beach and they're saying goodbye, and Rowan who says this, or Adian or Dorian, and one of the boys, they're like, we will see you again, all of you. That sounds like a cliche thing to say, right? But in the audiobook, particularly like when they say something meaningful, for example, when Nesrin tells Chaol, promise me you'll walk out of that castle, Elizabeth Evans narrates it really dramatically. And same thing with this line, she's like, we will see you again, all of you. This better not be another Nesrin thing where she was like, walk out of the castle and then he broke his legs, his backs. You know what I mean? Don't say that. We will see all of you again. That has to mean people are gonna die. I'm not ready. Literally can't imagine people dying. Oh, and Adian hugged Dorian. Not a big thing, but literally Adian despises Dorian so much. He has such a hard time through Queen of Shadows, through Heir of Fire, and even through Empire Storm, facing the king and just accepting him. And the fact that he hugs him, it's just, he's come such a long way. That's my series recap. Again, like I said, it wasn't really a series recap. I was just going back and saying moments. I'm all over the place. Theory. But I'm telling you, my theory stands, Dorian is a demon. When Dorian's dad had sex with his mom, those demon traits, they passed on to him. He's a god. Something's happening. I can feel it. It's rooted in me. That's why he's attracted to Manon so much, because what is Manon? Half VALG demon. Why is Dorian attracted to her? She's a half VALG demon. Hello. I mean, I know Sorsha died and he's afraid of being with a human ever again because they're too fragile, but I'm just saying, attraction. Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna be ready for Kingdom of Ash. We'll see how it goes. That's next week. You know I'm gonna be reading and vlogging and doing all that stuff. I am going to the signing a week from today, also in Houston. I'm so excited. So if you're there and you happen to see me, please come up to me and say hi. I'm trying to do this new thing for this vlog specifically at the event where I like interview people and like what Throne of Glass has meant to them. So if you're interested in being in that, please come approach. Those are my theories. Please like and comment below. Tell me your theories. Tell me your iconic moments. This is basically just a comment section for you to tell me anything you want to tell me about Throne of Glass, Queen of Shadows, whatever. Do you agree with my theory? Can you see what I mean? Honestly, when you read Throne of Glass series, I've had people tell me like ever since I've told them this theory, it's like you can't unsee it. Every little wording, I'm sure I missed some. It's just so particular. I mean, there has to be a reason for this. Okay guys, yes. Thank you for watching this long, messy video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to me. I'm trashy. Hi, it's Ashley, this is ashleyoutpaged, and I will see you guys in another video where I probably will not be emotionally stable. Bye, thank you.
I'm doing these snaps to like show reactions, and I know in this video that you guys are watching, I'm bringing up the theory that Dorian is either a god or a VALG. This thing I just read though. Is it true? Is it true? Is it true? I'm sitting here crying and it's like 4 in the morning and I'm finishing Empire Storms and it just hit me like how, oh my god, it's ending and I look so ugly right now. I have a pimple on my face. But like, oh my god, I like never cry this much during books. I'm fine. It's fine. I don't know what this video is going.